But the first story comes from the Daily Mail, which I am now a subscriber of the Daily Mail Plus. So according to the Daily Mail, again, which I am now a subscriber, I didn't really know much about the Daily Mail before all of this. The Daily Mail has some new details when it comes to Vrabel and Jen Vrabel and their relationship. The Daily Mail saying, quote, and this is something I haven't seen before. So when I heard this, I was like, wow, this is actual info. Quote, it remains to be seen whether Vrabel's heartfelt apology and the couple's subsequent powwow will be enough to save his marriage with wife Jen, with whom he has been with since 1999 and shares 2 children with. As Jen touched back down on the East Coast, one insider told the Daily Mail that as it stands, their marriage is hanging in the balance, with Jen set to make a tough decision in the near future amid the ongoing saga. Quote, Jen is pissed, embarrassed, and horrified that this is her life right now, the source told the Daily Mail. To live through this in the public eye, being judged by friends and family, being judged by people she has never met, it is a nightmare. Let me just, if I could for a second. Jen, we're not judging you. Okay? Again, not that I think that this should be about Jen Vrabel or that she should be drug into all of this or followed at the airport or anything like that. She didn't do anything wrong. But when Jen Vrabel talks about being judged by people she doesn't know, judged by friends and family, I can't speak for her friends and family. I can't speak for other people she doesn't know. Again, I met her one time. She was lovely. We're not judging you. We're judging him and her. But I understand. The story continues. It says, but as much as the trust has been broken, the till death do us part is where she is trying to make it work. The source continues. And with the trust that has been broken, she is looking to see if Mike can be the man she fell in love with and if he will put in the work to actually change. The source confirmed that while Jen has been left angry by the situation, she is willing to give him a chance to save their marriage, starting with his counseling. He's not out of the woods yet, and maybe he never will be, the source revealed. But this is a time of reflection. She is going to see if this will make them stronger or not. Now, I can already hear you people saying, I don't care about their relationship. I care about football. I don't care about what the Daily Mail says. I don't care about that. This is bedroom gossip. And to a certain extent, you're right. But the reason that I bring all this up, which again, it's pure tabloid gossip. When you hear things like one insider tells us, that is supermarket tabloid horseshit. But if it's true that Vrabel and Jen are going to counseling, if it is true that Jen Vrabel is furious, which I assume she is, if it is true that she is hanging on to this marriage because of the till death do us part, if he is in the woods right now, which he should be, if he's in the woods and he has to go to counseling and he has to prove that he's a different man, he is not going to be the same football coach again. If this is true about Jen Vrabel's going to try to make this work, Mike's got to go to counseling. Mike's got to earn the trust back. Mike has to prove what kind of man he is. It is going to make him a lesser football coach. If Mike Vrabel has to go to counseling, if Mike Vrabel has to address his pain, because that is what counseling is. If Mike Vrabel has to look back on his childhood and his teenage years, because again, that's what counseling is all about. If he has to start naming his feelings, if he has to be honest, if he has to stop going to sports bars and hanging with the buddies, if he has to change, and if he has to change for what we would consider to be the better, it's not going to make him a better coach. It will make him a better person. It will make him a better man. But that standing ovation for Vrabel from those Patriot fans the other day, That's not, way to go, Mike, you're a great man. You're the next Mother Teresa. No, they're cheering for him because of how he is as a coach. We care about the coach because we care about football. And if Mike Vrabel goes to counseling and actually does the counseling and actually really dives in on the mental awareness and the reflection about his past and goes back to his childhood traumas and his teenage pain, and he really discovers the root of why he is the way he is, he won't be as good of a football coach. It will be like when Jonah Hill lost all that weight. I'm sure it made him healthier. I'm sure it lowered his blood pressure. Sure, it lowered his risk for diabetes. His heart was in better condition. He probably was going to live longer. But Jonah Hill wasn't the same funny fat boy that he was in Superbad, now was he? His professional career, Jonah Hill, was based on being kind of a chubby fat boy. With Mike Vrabel, his career, it's about being the guy he is today. The Daily Mail also says, quote, she wants to reconcile and not blow up her marriage, but if he doesn't change, she will make the tough decision to move on. According to the Daily Mail, if Mike Vrabel does not change, Jen Vrabel will move on. And that's what brings me to this conclusion. And I think this is a football opinion because, again, the kind of guy he is, that is who he is coaching on that football field. That is who he is in the press conferences. That is who he is in life. And who he is in life right now is the reigning coach of the year and the defending AFC championship coach. So it does matter on the field. Mike Vrabel will have to pick. Does Mike Vrabel want to be the man that he strives to be? Or does Mike Vrabel want to be the man that he is? Because I truly believe that he will be happier as the man that he is. And I know he will be a much better coach as the man that he is. Let me break this down for you. The man that Vrabel is, and I'm sorry, I know he wouldn't admit this, but I think we have enough evidence of the years that I've covered him. I'm an expert on Mike Vrabel. I said this when he was the coach of the Titans and he got all mad about it, and I say it now. Mike Vrabel, if he was on trial and they needed an expert to come in and testify about Mike Vrabel's motives, Mike Vrabel's actions, Mike Vrabel's words, that person is me. I've always said Vrabel is a very good coach. I have never wavered from that. He is not a perfect coach, and he is certainly not a perfect person. The man that Vrabel is right now, again, let's compare these two things. The man that Vrabel strives to be and the man that Vrabel is. And I'm talking about strives to be, if he's going to counseling, if he's telling Jen Vrabel, you know, this is going to be about us. I'm going to be a great husband. I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to be there for the boys. I'm going to put my family first, which is why I had to miss day 3 of the draft. That's who he wants to be. This is who he is. Mike Vrabel is a hard worker. He works hard. He plays hard. He's a man's man. Think like a dude. Think like a man. Think like an athlete. That's him. He's a man that if it were just him, if he wasn't married, if he didn't have any kids, he would order takeout every night. He'd have nothing but bottled water and beer in the fridge. He'd have furniture at his home that every woman would detest. And he would only take showers when he feels like it because he's a man's man. But the one thing that Mike Vrabel has inside of him, and this is the case with everything, is the competitive gene. And what I've noticed about Mike Vrabel is he always has to one-up somebody. That's why Vrabel's best moments or his biggest moments as the Titans coach, when he was at the podium with the media, were always about the times where he felt like he wasn't one-upping somebody, and so he decided that's what he was going to do. Or times when he was trapped, like when he fired Craig Aukerman as a special teams coach, and he was being asked about who made the decision, him or Amy, and he knows that the truth is it was Amy. He doesn't want to answer the question, so he just walked off. That's who he is. He's always got to one-up people. And that's probably been his way his entire life. So this guy that he is, again, the one that has nothing but bottled water and beer in the fridge if it were up to him, that's the same guy that won 3 Super Bowls as a player. Though I didn't know Mike Vrabel as a player. But he won 3 Super Bowls as a player, and he's won 2 Coach of the Year awards because that's who he is. He's defiant. He's cocky. He's arrogant. He's dedicated. He's an asshole. He's a good coach. He is dedicated to winning. That is his chief goal in life, to win. And to win everything. To win the press conference, to win the argument with the reporter, to win the challenge, to win the game, to win the Super Bowl, to win the court of public opinion about my coordinator and my quarterback and my coach and my guy. That's how he is. And that's who he has always been. And I believe that when it comes to what the Daily Mail said about how, Jen wants him to be the man that she fell in love with when they got married, that Vrabel was that same guy. He was always trying to one up. So he was always in competition. He was competing for you at that point, Jen. The man that he's going to have to be is somebody who's more honest, who's more respectful, who's going to have to be more introspective. He's going to have to think about himself, his own pain, his own trauma. He's going to have to be more empathetic. And he's going to have to commit more time to family and less time to the game. And when I say less time to the game, I don't just mean football. I mean the game of chasing victories. Which means if he becomes that guy, he's going to be less competitive. So if he's going to make his marriage work, he's got to dial down the 24/7 competitiveness. And if Mike Vrabel is less competitive, Mike Vrabel won't be as good of a coach. Period. That's just how this works. I've thought about that with me. Again, I've done counseling. I've done that stuff. I've done the introspective, thinking about myself as a child, thinking about myself as a teenager, going through why I am the way I am. A joke I tell people, and it's not a joke, it's a real story, but it's true, is I once had a therapist say to me when I was talking about other people in my lives and concocting stories and whatnot. And the therapist said to me, he goes, you're probably really good when you're hosting a show about connecting dots and speculating on why people do what they do and thinking about doing what they're doing. And you're probably pretty good at that. And I'm sure it makes for some really entertaining radio. But that's really not a way to live your life. Thinking about what everybody else is doing outside of you from what you know and making assumptions and jumping the shark and everything else. So when it comes to Vrabel, I'm somebody who's done a lot of this stuff. I've never done marriage counseling because I've never been married, but I've done a lot of counseling before. So I know what it really is about. It's not like something's wrong, you go to counseling and you get fixed. This is not the auto repair shop. It is a lifelong journey. And if Vrabel's going to be the man that I think Jen is going to want him to be with this counseling, he's going to be less competitive. Everything is a contest for Mike Vrabel. Everything is a contest and everything is a conquest. And what these guys like Vrabel love is that as soon as this game's over, win or lose, you go on to the next game. So there's always another day to compete. Those guys love that competition. They get off on it. They go right from that to free agency. They go right from that to the draft. They go right from that to minicamp. They go right from that, take a little bit of a break, to training camp. They go right from that to the season, week to week, game to game, press conference to press conference. Vrabel challenges the players on one day because he wants to win. He wants to make them better. He wants to show that I can do it. That's how Vrabel is. People always talk about my relationship with Vrabel. People that don't know me, that have been following me throughout this saga, they say, you just have some axe to grind because you and Vrabel got into it at the press conference. First of all, the time that Vrabel and I got into it over the Patriots Hall of Fame comments, that's not the first time Vrabel and I got into it. Vrabel and I got into it for years. And this goes back to when Mariota was the quarterback. I like Vrabel. I liked those interactions, those challenges, me and him over Craig Hockerman, me and him over Mariota, me and him over his Patriot Hall of Fame comments. It was a battle. I liked it. I found it enjoyable. I'm not built like Vrabel. Vrabel, when it comes to Craig Hockerman, and I'm asking him why he decided to keep Craig Hockerman on the staff, now I'm challenging him. Now he wants to win the challenge, which is why he kept bringing up net punting, as if anybody on the planet gives a shit about that. Because that's who he is. It's about contests and conquests. So when you're married and you've got 2 kids, you may love your wife and love the partner she is and love the person she is and everything else. But it's not new. It's not a challenge. You're not battling for her love. So you go and you look for conquest somewhere else. And I think with Vrabel, I think the Rossini thing was a part of that. It was a notch on the belt. It was a challenge. He succeeded. And then I think he enjoyed the challenge, and I think she probably did too, of keeping that a secret, even though I don't think they were very good at it. So if Mike Vrabel becomes the man that Jen Vrabel probably wants him to become in counseling, he's not going to be as good of a coach. Would Mike Vrabel be a better person if he was more empathetic? Sure. Would he be a better coach? Would Mike Vrabel be a better person if he was more compassionate, more understanding, took more time away from the game like he did with day 3 of the draft to be with his family? Sure. But would he be a better coach? And that's the problem. So if Vrabel stays with Jen and he does the work that the Daily Mail says she is challenging him to do, I do not think he will be as good of a coach. Period.